Trump calls General Milley a dumbass and wants him charged with treason. These are not my words. Don't get upset. These are Donald Trump's words. Donald Trump does not take criticism very well. We all know that. And one major example would be his reaction to the American people denying him a second term in office, which of course resulted in him inciting a violent mob to attack the U.S. Capitol, which is what put General Milley in the fix that he was in my opinion. This is a recent statement released by Citizen Trump. If the story of dumbass General Mark Milley, the same failed leader who engineered the worst withdrawal from a country, referring to Afghanistan, in U.S. history, leaving behind many dead and wounded soldiers, many American citizens, in a minute or so, I'll be sharing General Milley's report to the American people so you can compare it with this statement that I've just read to you on Donald Trump. And he's talking about the Afghan withdrawal, which is what Trump is criticizing him for. I'll be playing it in a few minutes. I want you to watch it. And that way, you can come to your own conclusion if General Milley sounds like or acts like a dumbass, or that he wasn't prepared, or that he's a failed leader. Because now you're going to hear it directly from the horse's mouth, General Milley. He's going to be right on the program, and you're going to listen to him. And we'll know. Welcome to the USA One podcast, the program where I share the most interesting notes of the day from social media, radio, newspapers, and other publications that we know you don't have time to follow. I'm Juan Andres, also known as Senor USA. If you would like to view our programs, you can find us on USA One Podcast on iHeartRadio, Podbean, TuneIn, Alexa, and YouTube. Easily accessible on your smartphone or any internet-compatible device. To his followers, I'm saying here and now that this is not a normal way to respond to an event inciting an insurrection on the Capitol because he didn't like the way that he was elected. Or not elected, I'm sorry. God, I'm so glad that it's a fupa and that I'm not reading the truth that he did get elected. No, he didn't get elected. Look, smaller examples of Trump's inability to deal with anyone would include the many times he turned on people he had hired and praised, and then after they gave their unvarnished opinion of him, called them dumbasses, rocks, mentally retarded, clueless, lowlifes, and on and on and on and on. Naturally, it was in no way surprising that his reaction to the news that General Mark Milley reportedly took steps to stop him from starting a war. And you ask yourself, why was this necessary? Well, he was inciting an insurrection, which many people saw as a rebellion, a war on his own country. A president attacking his own country. Well, around the world, many saw that and said, well, if he's willing to do that, what would he do to us? If he's attacking his own country, why wouldn't he attack our country? So if I were Milley, I would be asking myself exactly how are the Chinese going to react? Because they're always very nervous about what the United States is doing. How are the Russians going to react? And many other nations were probably sitting with their mouths wide open, watching the television in disbelief. And I could imagine them saying, if he would do this to his own country, what wouldn't he do to our country? Anyway, here's a video footage of General Milley giving his report on the Afghan withdrawal to the American people. He's speaking to you, to the press, okay, but to you. Please look at it and ask yourself if he sounds and acts like a dumbass. And is he a failed leader? Is he talking like somebody that is incoherent and is a failure and doesn't have control of what he's saying? And did he engineer the worst withdrawal from a country? Was it his fault that we're talking about Afghanistan? Well, here we go. Here's the video that I promised you.
Thanks, Secretary, and good afternoon, everyone. 3 weeks ago, the United States military received the mission to conduct a non-combatant evacuation operation from Afghanistan in support of the Department of State. In order to evacuate American citizens, the Department of State designated Afghans with a directed completion date of 31 August. The key military tasks were to secure and defend the international airport in Kabul, evacuate all embassy personnel, evacuate all American citizens that wanted to get out, and evacuate other Afghans as designated by the Department of State, and retrograde all of the U.S. military. In short, the United States military was tasked to conduct two highly complex missions simultaneously: a retrograde while in contact with the enemy, and a NEO in a non-permissive environment. We executed that mission in a highly dynamic, dangerous operating environment from a war-torn country, and it was conducted across 9 countries and 26 intermediate staging bases and temporary safe havens. We deployed between 5,000 and 6,000 military personnel on the ground, some of whom were forward deployed based on our contingency planning. These elements came from the 82nd Airborne Division, Special Forces, the Marine Corps, along with Navy and Air Force personnel. Flying in support were combat aircraft from the Air Force and the Navy, as well as incredible support from the transport aircraft, the pilots and crews of the United States Transportation Command. And afloat, we had an ARG-MU and a carrier strike group. We flew 387 U.S. military C-17 and C-130 sorties, and we enabled 391 non-U.S. military sorties. A total of 778 sorties evacuated a total of 124,334 people, which included almost 6,000 American citizens, third country nationals, and Afghans designated by the Department of State. And we will continue to evacuate American citizens under the leadership of the Department of State, as this mission is now transitioned from a military mission to a diplomatic mission.
A number of media outlets have reported that Peril, a book by Bob Woodward and Robert Costa, details a pair of calls General Milley made to assure China that despite the then president acting erratic, the U.S. would not start a war against their country, and that if he was going to attack them, that is the president, Milley would give his counterpart a heads up. He'd let him know. Trump called several close associates when he heard the report about the book and demanded that they go on TV to declare that Milley should be charged with treason. And of course, they did exactly what he wanted. I personally think Milley should get recognized for his valor and love of country. Why would he want China scared or Russia scared to turn around and do something to us? You see, this is a double-edged sword. He was really protecting us. He's telling them, if the president's going to attack you, I'll give you a heads up. To keep him calm, because he doesn't want them hurting his country. You see? But Trump is so selfish that he only sees things from his point of view. You see what I mean? He can't sit at a table and look at both sides of the coin. He only sees one side. My side. I see it as the guy was trying to protect his country. He didn't want these adversaries getting nervous and doing something that wasn't in our best interest. So why not keep him calm? That's the way I see it. Look, the MAGA faithful and that put Trump above country, politicians also like Ohio State candidate Josh Mandel and Trump ally Charlie Kirk, and several former Trump officials echoed the treason charge on social media. And by Tuesday evening, the twice impeached former U.S. president was on Newsmax talking about his former White House. By the way, the guy that was interviewing him was his former White House secretary. So this is a clique, right? These are guys that know each other, so he goes on his shows and start mealy-mouthing and bad-mouthing people he doesn't like. And what the heck, you know, he worked for him, so yeah, come on the show and talk and mealy-mouth and say anything you want. So he was using words like treason on the show. And he said, I've had so many calls today saying that that was treason. Trump told Newsmax host Sean Spicer and Lindsay Keith, if this is true, General Milley would be a traitor to this country and should be tried for treason immediately. See, I don't see it that way. I flip the coin over and say, you know, why would he do this? Yes, it's unorthodox. But talking about unorthodox, wouldn't attacking your own country be unorthodox? Wouldn't that require an orthodox defense on the spur of the moment? I mean, who has plans for that? Do you go to the Pentagon and open the book on attack on the Capitol, page 62, when the president attacks the Capitol? What do? Step one, you make this phone. That doesn't exist because no one ever thought that would happen. It's unorthodox. That requires unorthodox reactions. Of course, Milley did the right thing. And he wasn't doing it because he wanted or cared about Russia or China. He just didn't want them to get nervous and hurt us. It makes sense. If true, anyway, Trump says he should be fired and tried for treason immediately. And Fox News star and informal Trump advisor Sean Hannity explained later on Tuesday of this past week night, alongside an on-air graphic that blared Benedict Milley, referring to the fact that he's Benedict Arnold, when I think he was a George Washington, helping us. Telling the truth, number one. I'm George Washington, cherry tree, tell the truth. The guy's telling the truth to save us from an erratic president that did an unorthodox thing, attacked his own country. Jesus, talk about weird. Anyway, experts from Woodward's and Costa's book say that the Joint Chiefs Chairman, General Mark Milley, who continues on in the role under President Joe Biden. Biden didn't find anything wrong with what Milley did. This is just Trump mealy-mouthing and talking bad about anybody that doesn't dance to his tune or agrees with him. But the general is working for Joe Biden, and Joe Biden's very happy with him. So anyway, President Joe Biden was so unnerved by Trump's behavior in the aftermath of the insurrection and election that he believed the president was in a serious mental decline. So why wouldn't Milley? If the president think the guy is crazy, the ex-president's nuts, because that's, look, serious mental decline is a political nice way of saying the guy is cuckoo. He's nuts. He's erratic. You can't trust him. But you pick your words. And that the president, said Biden, could go rogue. This is the president talking about Mr. Loco, right? He could go rogue. He could do something unexpected that would really hurt 330 million Americans, including his MAGA people. And pray tell, I suspect that hundreds of millions of Americans were probably concerned about Trump's state of mind when they saw what was going on. Come on. 2/3 of the country had to be there with their mouth open, not believing this was real. Look, at the time, such concerns were shared throughout the administration, and one senior Trump official told a news outlet that the insurrection had changed the calculus. Following his appearance on Newsmax, Trump released a typical statement that simultaneously accused Milley of committing a treasonous act and read in part as follows. If the story of, and this is really presidential, okay? I want you to listen to the educated words used by the ex-president of the United States in a written communication to the American people. If the story of dumbass General Mark Milley, the same failed leader who engineered the worst withdrawal from a country, Afghanistan, in U.S. history, leaving behind many dead and wounded soldiers, many American citizens, and $85 billion worth of the newest and most sophisticated military equipment in the world, and our country's reputation is true, then I assume he would be tried for treason, in that he would have been dealing with his Chinese counterpart behind the president's back and telling China that he would be giving them notification of an attack. Can't do that. These are Trump's words. I didn't say can't do that. Trump said that Milley can't do that, so don't jump on me for the can't do that. Anyway, the good news is that the story is fake news concocted by a weak and ineffective general together with two authors who I refuse. This is Trump again, okay? Who I refuse to give an interview because they write fiction, not fact. Actions should be taken immediately against Milley, and better generals in our military, of which we have many, should get involved so that another Afghanistan disaster never happens again. Remember, I was the one who took out 100% of ISIS caliphate. Milley said it couldn't be done. Of course, twice impeached ex-president and now just plain old citizen Trump isn't telling you. This is me now, okay? Let me start where I start giving you my opinion, because I don't want you to confuse what the president said. I'm saying now, after he's bad-mouthing Milley and finishing it with involved so that another Afghanistan disaster never happens again. And now it's me. Of course, twice impeached ex-president and now just plain old citizen Trump isn't saying a word about his Doha agreement with the Taliban that released 5,000 of their deadliest Taliban fighters that ended up taking part in the overthrow of the Afghan government. I personally believe that plain old citizen Trump knew his goose was cooked and he wouldn't see the White House again after the 2020 election, and set up the Doha agreement with the Taliban as a quagmire for the next president to make the next president look bad. That's my opinion. Because he knew. He had to know. He had to know that his goose was cooked. Twice impeached? Give me a break. But then I'm just a plain old Senor USA. What do I know? Well, there is one thing I do know, and I would have never turned my own country in and incited an insurrection. I would have never attacked my own country. That I know about me. I'm Juan Andres, also known as Senor USA. You can always find us on the USA One podcast on iHeartRadio, Podbean, TuneIn, Alexa, and YouTube. Thanks for being with us, and we'll see you next time.